fouling today, and another foul called on the shot by Mackenzie Perot. And that will put Perot at the line to shoot two. This foul will be against Asia Marion. That's her first, team second. And Dennis, two different teams in that the Villages has one go-to player as Perot hits the first free throw, but this South Walton team has multiple players that contribute.
Right. If you were here to watch the first 1A game, it was pretty much the same thing there, too. Chipley had 5 players averaging around.
Nothing until then for the Buffalo, and it's Ricky Batterby. And although Marion is the leading scorer, 20.4 points per game, not saying they don't have other girls that contribute. It's just that they have the one girl that they depend on. And, boy, she came up big for them, too. Marion hit a 12-footer with under 10 seconds to play to lift the Villages to a win against Newberry. 46-44 was the final score. They trailed in that game most of the game. They outscored the Panthers 29-21 in the second half to get to this point.
Yeah, that was beating a Newberry team that had made it to the Final Four last year.
That's right. As we take a look at the teams that are participating this week, there are several champions who will have a chance to repeat. Dr. Phillips in 8A, Edgewater in 6A out of Orlando, Fort Lauderdale-Dillard in 5A, Dunbar out of Fort Myers in 4A, and FAMU and Tallahassee in 2A. One team that will not repeat, Ponce de Leon, and that's who South Walton beat to get here. Good look inside and a layup for Shelby Mann. So Mann's with 2, Batterby with 2, and the Buffalo have taken a 4-2 lead after Perot's first 2 free throws of the game for South Walton. Loose ball picked up, saved by South Walton, and now taken away by Carricker. Alexia, 1 on 3. Now she'll slow down and wait on her teammates. 5.5 minutes to play. Under 5.5 here in the opening quarter. And our second Class 1A state semifinal from the Lakeland Center. Traveling is called right in front of the Seahawks bench. Seahawks 23-6, the Buffalo 18-4. Your officials for today, the referee is Willie Roberts. The umpires, Horatio Major and Sean Stickler. And I asked Sean, I said, Sean, does this mean that you're a stickler for the rules? I had to get my first pun in for the day.
Almost like a triangle and 2 with them playing a man on Marion and then one on the point guard. And a lot of times you can pick up quick personals when you're getting played defensively that way.
Trejo's shot went in and out, but it's cleaned up underneath. Put back in by Mackenzie Perot. She gets her first field goal of the game, and the 5'10 sophomore now with 4, and she leads all scores, and it's a 4-point lead for South Walton. And you can see that this South Walton team likes playing with each other. I mean, a number of passes, trying to look for that high percentage shot, as that ball is deflected out of bounds. Last touch by Shelby Manns, and it will remain with the Seahawks. .341 left in the opening quarter, and a media timeout. South Walton with an early 8-4 lead. Dennis, you were on the call for the first game with Kelly Neff. Chipley with a 55-50 win over the number 1 team, Hilliard. The Flashes had come in off a big win against Hamilton County, which was ranked 4th in the state, but Chipley got the win in that first game. Yeah, Chipley had really, really balanced scoring in that game, whereas, like I said, Hilliard only had 2 players that basically scored for him, and they were double-teaming Saunders, the leading scorer on Hilliard, the whole game. And she's a great player, and she's committed to go to Stetson, averaging 24 points a game. And she had a really, really great game, but wore her down at the end, and it was enough for Chipley just to pull away with their even scoring. Saunders had a game-high 26, so right around her average. 8 of 21 shooting, including 9 of 11 for the free throw line. Austin had 14 in the loss, but Ebony Williams with 18, Amanda Pasco with 13 to lead Chipley to the win in the
first 1A semifinal. So Chipley awaits the winner of this one. The 1A championship game will be tomorrow afternoon at 4:35. Under 4 minutes to play in the opening quarter here in the Lakeland Center. Mike Rideout, Dennis Mental, our producer Nick Minori. Thanks for tuning in. Our coverage courtesy of Play On Sports. Looking forward to a lot of basketball, not only this week, but then the boys basketball finals coming up next week.
Right, and I wish I could retire so I could come both weeks, but
right.
As it is, I take a week's vacation to come for this week.
Well, we definitely appreciate you, and I know you got 4 games today, so you and I both will be busy calling basketball, but we don't consider this work.
Nope.
After a turnover, Villages turn it right back over. The ball taken away by Heffron. Heffron overthrows the intended player underneath. That was Casey Perot, and you were noting before the game started that Casey Perot leads the team in scoring, but yet not a starter.
And it looks like they're now in a 2-3 zone, so they're switching it up a little bit just to confuse the Villages.
Casey Perot averages 9.9 points a game. In fact, they have 5 players that average 7.5 or more. So another turnover by the Villages. And a chance for the Seahawks to add to the lead. Loose ball, a whistle, and another foul. This will be on Abby Followell. 5'6" sophomore picks up her first foul. That's the 5th team foul. Actually, no. It's going to go the other way. Excuse me. My apologies. It will be on the other number 10, Eve Heffron. Buffalo with a basketball, trailing by 4. Under 3 minutes to play in this opening quarter. Nice bank shot. Asia Marion gets her first 2 of the game. 5'7" senior, as I mentioned, hit the game winner with under 10 seconds to play. A 12-footer against Newberry. 46-44 was the final score as the Villages were able to knock off, as you mentioned, a team that was a state runner-up last year, the Newberry Panthers out of Alachua County. Ball knocked away. Loose ball taken away by Marion. Outlet now ahead to Character. Count the basket, and there's a foul. First basket of the game for the 5'5" sophomore. Foul called on Katie Logan. That's her first, team second, and Character to the line for a chance at a 3-point play the old school way.
That was a great look by Marion to look down the floor and get the ball ahead for the breakaway, which shows that she can do more than just score.
Character shoots just 45% from the free throw line, but her free throw makes it a 1-point game. Under 2 minutes to play now in the opening quarter. South Walton with a basketball and a 1-point lead. Shot may have been partially blocked. Perot with a miss. A rebound foul going to go against the Villages. And this will be on Character. That's the first foul on Alexia Character.
And that's 7 fouls already here in the first quarter. A little bit different than the first game. The first game, they let the girls play a little bit more.
Backdoor pass. Heffron missed again. Villages come away with it. Well, they changed the 1 foul. So I've got actually 5 team fouls. We do have a foul here on Morgan Kennedy of the Seahawks. That's her first, team third, but you're right, we are approaching the bonus here in this opening quarter. A chance for the Buffalo to take the lead. Would be their first of the game. Shelby Mans with 4. The Buffalo playing well. Well, I said they would have a chance to take the lead. They took it the last trip down the floor. After a miss, the follow shot no good by Perot, but she got fouled, and Casey will shoot 2 shots.
It looks like South Walton has a height advantage inside against the Villages, so look for them to start pounding the ball in and trying to take advantage of that.
Foul was on Monica Couture. That's her first. And Perot misses the first free throw. Perot shoots 54% on the season. And she missed them both. Ball goes out of bounds. Back to the Buffalo. Both teams, again, playing in their first ever Final Four. Certainly this is the largest venue that they have played in all year long. Almost like a scene out of Hoosiers, if you will. Logan got fouled, and she'll go to the free throw line to shoot 2 free throws. Another foul against the Buffalo. They're mounting up.
And if you notice, Marion is now on the bench. Looks like he's going to protect her with her 2 fouls.
Katie Logan, a 43% free throw shooter. And that is her first point of the game. She averages 3.4 a game. And a chance to make it a 1-point game. So Logan gets them both. Seahawks 4 of 7 from the foul line in the opening quarter. Under a minute to play in this opening quarter. Class 1A state semifinals from the Lakeland Center. Shipley awaits the winner. Good defense, and the Seahawks force the turnover. In fact, Seahawks forced a bunch of turnovers in that upset win against Ponce de Leon, the defending state champion. They forced 26 turnovers. They held Ponce de Leon to 34% shooting, and they actually avenged a loss to Ponce de Leon. They lost to them in last year's region final. South Walton overcame an early 9-point deficit to get the win. Last foul called on Abby Followell. That's her first. And the free throw no good by Taylor Menard, who's looking for her first point of the game. Taylor shoots 53%, averaging 8.3 points per game. And she missed them both, so 5 missed free throws, Dennis, in this opening quarter.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the right thing. They've got 8 fouls called already on the Villages, and they're just not taking advantage by making the free throws.
A big reason why the Villages have the basketball, a 1-point lead. They won't get a shot off, but they'll carry the lead into the second quarter. At the end of 1 quarter of play in this Class 1A state semifinal, it's the Villages 11, South Walton 10, here on the FHSAA Network. Yeah, we're. Villages basketball to begin the second quarter of play. Dennis, 55.6% shooting for the Villages in that opening quarter. They turn it over here, their 8th turnover of the half, but 5 of 9 shooting from the floor.
Yeah, what's helping them out, like you said earlier, is that South Walton's 4 for 9 from the foul line. And the Villages have to be careful that they don't get themselves in big-time foul trouble.
Splitting defenders. Menard with a miss, but the follow was there. Rainbow shot.
Prayer.
Basket good for Eve Heffron. She has 4. That was raining Skittles, I think. 7:30 remaining in the opening half. And South Walton, as we seesaw the other way, now has a 1-point lead. Man's with it up top. And looking at a 2-3 zone. Pass over to Fallaway, kept alive, deflected, and what do we got? Boy, I tell you, Coach Kevin Craig really upset over there on that South Walton sideline. He thought that his team had created another turnover.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they've gone to this 2-3. That triangle was working pretty well earlier.
Speaking of Kevin Craig, this program, Dennis, was 0-25 the year before he took over. Took over in 2005. They went 12-14. So went from no wins to 12 wins just in his first year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Alexia Character just picked up her second foul. So South Walton remaining aggressive, attacking the basket and picking up multiple fouls. One more foul and it will be the double bonus. But again, they have not been able to hit their free throws as Morgan Kennedy misses for the first time. Under 7 minutes to play in the opening half. South Walton with a 1-point lead, and they create another turnover. Outlet ahead now to Kennedy. Kennedy off the glass, no good, but she got fouled, and Morgan will shoot 2 free throws.
And that's the 10th foul on the Villages.
And it's the 3rd foul on Asia Marion. Well, she's got to come off the floor now. You don't want to play your star player with 3 fouls with this much time left in the half, do you?
No, he's got to take her out, I would think. And Coach Corley is jawing a little bit with one referee, so he's got to be fairly careful this early because he may be sitting down for the rest of the game if he gets one called on him.
Morgan Kennedy now with 3 fouls, or 3 points, and she's got both free throws. So after missing her first one, she comes back to make the next 2. And it's a 4-0 run for the Seahawks against the Villages here in the opening of this second quarter.
Look for South Walton to really put some pressure on the ball now with Marion out of the game.
Character cut off, brings it up top to Followell. Now to Dunn. South Walton extending that defense beyond the arc, and it's causing all kinds of problem for the Buffalo. Very active on defense. Followell, back to Dunn. And the ball stolen away. Menard with a steal. And Menard lays it in. Followell did a good job of trying to take the charge, but no whistle. And that's the first points of the game for Taylor Menard. The 5'7" senior gives the Seahawks a 5-point lead, 16-11, under 6 minutes to play in the opening half.
Yeah, Coach Corley's got to be very careful here for the Villages because crucial point of the game with Marion on the bench. This game could get out of hand very quickly.
And that's, well, let's see. I thought the official called a foul, but did they get the timeout before the foul? He held up 3 fingers, Dennis. That was going to be a foul and 3 free throws, but somehow the timeout was called before that foul, so no foul.
That I don't know. That it looked like the foul happened before the timeout, but
in fact, I thought originally that's why the whistle was blowing was because of the foul.
Of course, I'm a coach, and I always question those kind of calls.
Right. South Walton pretty balanced to this point. Eve Heffron with 4 points. Morgan Kennedy with 4. Mackenzie Perot with 4. The big concern right now for the Buffalo, who have been led in scoring by Shelby Manns with 4 points, as their leading scorer, Asia Marion, who averages 20.4 a game, has 3 fouls, and we still have 5 minutes and 37 seconds to play in this first half.
Yeah, if it gets any further out of hand, he may have to chance putting her back in the game. The problem I see is, we played almost a quarter and a half, and they have not found a way of getting her the ball on the offensive end in their offensive sets. So if he's got something in his bag of tricks for that, he better pull it out quickly, or this game could get out of hand.
The Villages won their first basketball district title for the girls in their 9-year history of the school. Their best one-loss record in the history of the girls program. Now they're playing in their first ever Final Four. Asia Marion, the leader of this team, has almost 15. She's approaching 1,500 points this year. It's a very smart Buffalo team. In the classroom, they carry an cumulative GPA of 3.85 plus.
Wow. Student athlete. That's what it's all about.
Now they just have to figure out a way to come back from this 5-point deficit. A whistle and a foul. Not many fouls called against the Seahawks here in the first half, but we'll have one here. And it will be the 4th team foul. It's also going to be the second on Morgan Kennedy. The Buffalo down 5. They led by 1 at the end of the first quarter, 11-10. So currently a 6-0 run here in the second quarter. We've played almost 3 minutes, and the Buffalo's still looking for their first points of the quarter. And they throw it away.
See, if it's me, I might have just played around with the ball out front a little bit, tried to take some clock off. They're only down 5 right now. Right now you want to get to halftime, keep the score where it's at now so that you get Marion in the game for the second half.
Yeah, that's a great point because, if you keep it close and you can get to the half, then Marion can come out and play for most of the second half. But they've got to be able to find a way to stop the inside game of South Walton. They've been drawing a bunch of fouls, and Katie Trejo picks up her first bucket of the game. 5'11" senior extends the lead to 7, 18-11. Good look inside. Pass back to Character, and she was able to track it down the loose ball.
It doesn't look like they have anybody looking to take a shot on the floor.
And another turnover for the Buffalo. So already double-digit turnovers for the Buffalo in this opening half.
They look really small out there right now, too, don't they?
Yeah.
Looks like they got a very tiny lineup in there.
And a 2-3 zone.
Another foul.
Well, and that's a tough matchup when you're talking about Trejo, who is 5'11", too. And she got fouled by Ricky Batterby, who stands 5'9". Their tallest player is 6 foot, but she comes off the bench. As the free throw by Trejo now gives her 3 points and extends the margin. It's an 8-point lead. Second free throw no good. Rebounded by Shelby Mans. 6 different players have scored for the Seahawks in this opening half. Against tough defense, shot wouldn't go down for Followell. Loose ball, though, picked up by Dunn. And now deflected and stolen by Heffron. Heffron 1-on-2. Misses the shot, rebounded by Character. Character now 1-on-2 the other way. And she got tripped up by Kennedy. And that's going to be the third foul on Morgan Kennedy.
And it looks like Marion is coming back into the lineup.
So Asia will check in with her third foul with 3:39 to play in this first half. Timeout on the floor, 3:39 to play, and an 8-point lead for the Seahawks of South Walton. They are 23-6 on the year. And Dennis, let's take a look at what's coming up later today. This is the second of 6 to be played here at the Lakeland Center. Coming up next, it will be the Class 2A state semifinals, and boy, it's going to be a good one coming up at 2:30. Number 1 FAMU out of Tallahassee and number 2 Grandview Prep out of Boca Raton. FAMU, defending state champion, They rolled over St. John Lutheran of Ocala to get here. Grandview Prep edged First Baptist by only 2. And the winner of that game will play either Academy at the Lakes or Sheridan Hills Christian. That means 3 of last year's Final 4 teams are here this year.
Yeah, I covered that FAMU Academy at the Lakes game last year, and my original coaching job down here in Florida was at Academy at the Lakes. I started up that program, and FAMU just destroyed them last year in the semifinal. And then I also had the championship game, FAMU, where their center, Lisa Salter, hit a three-pointer at the buzzer to win the championship for them last year. So they're an exciting team to watch.
And then that other game, Academy at the Lakes and Sheridan Hills Christian, will be at 4 p.m. Marion got fouled. It'll be the first on Casey Perot, and that will put Asia at the line to shoot 2 shots.
And some people might wonder, why Coach put her back in. There's a big mental block when you get down by double figures. And they were down by 8, and if they would have got down by 10, that could have taken a lot of air out of his team. So might not be a bad move as long as she's a smart player and stays, doesn't make any dumb fouls.
Well, we know that they're smart players, but that doesn't exclude them from dumb fouls. Timeout called by the Buffalo. Asia Marion shooting 2 shots. She shoots 65% on the year. So again, the 2A semifinals coming up at 2:30 and 4 o'clock. Now, 3A won't be played today. 3A will be played on Wednesday. Coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, it will be another 1 versus 2 matchup. The Ribault Trojans of Jacksonville and Fort Myers Dunbar, the defending state champion. They're ranked number 1 in the state according to Source Hoops. A 1-2 matchup at 7 o'clock. You and I will work together for that one. And then we'll also be on the call for the 8:30 game tonight between Atlantic High School out of Port Orange, which has a player that's going to the University of Florida. McDonald's All-American will be playing in that one, and Ronnie Williams. And then Coral Springs Charter, ranked 3rd. So another top 5 matchup in the other semifinal.
And that 7 o'clock game, I'm going to get a neck massage before that game because I think that's going to be end-to-end action
right
between Ribault and Dunbar.
Marion hits 1 of 2. She has 3. And it's a 7-point lead for South Walton. Correct. And that will be traveling. Good defense. Shelby Mans just kind of stepped there in front of her and forced the turnover.
Big trip down the floor here for the Villages. Down 7, they need to get a good look here.
Mans called for double dribble, though. Katie Logan applying the pressure. Seven-point lead for South Walton. The Seahawks 23-6 in their first ever state semifinal in girls basketball. Stolen away by Mans. Outlet ahead to Character. Character with a miss. And rebounded by Perot.
Too bad she had Marion wide open on her left. Should have given her the ball there.
Heffron, good look inside. And Perot banks home her first 2 of the game. Casey Perot, we mentioned, comes off the bench to lead this team in scoring. She averages 9.9 points a game. So it's a 9-point advantage for South Walton. A little over 2.5 minutes left in the opening half. And yet another turnover for the Buffalo. Buffalo coached by Rick Corley, as I mentioned, in his second year. He led the Masters Academy out of Maitland to the Final Four in the 94-95 season. But it's a season of first for the Villages in girls basketball. Best one-loss record in school history. First district title. Now their first ever state semifinal. Eve Heffron with 6 points. And there's that double-digit lead you were talking about. And Marion is on the floor. So I think that she's got to take over at some point, doesn't she?
Well, the problem.
There she goes in the lane, misses with a bank.
I was just going to say the problem is they don't have anybody that can really get her the ball, it seems like, against this pressure. So she may have to come out like that, take the ball, and try to, put together a shot on her own. Manufacture some type of offense.
Second foul on Abby Followell. Double-digit foul, so South Walton in the double bonus, which means they will shoot 2 free throws the rest of the half. And Eve Heffron, who is 0 for 1 today, steps to the line with 6 points. The biggest, concern coming in for teams, the amount of space in behind the baskets. You're not used to shooting at open areas behind the baskets. You've got normally, brick walls behind you in high school basketball.
Yeah, I had mentioned in the first game the
depth perception.
The better outside shot is from the top of the key, because at the one end you have a black tarp over the top of some seats, and that's a better depth perception. You shoot from the corners, it's just open space.
Marion, boy, she had to be careful. She got the steal, but she's playing with 3 fouls, and that's a reason why she probably pulled up with a jumper in the lane instead of taking it on in.
That was a very smart move by her. No chance of getting that offensive foul called on her.
So a chance for the Buffalo to make it a 10-point game with 67 seconds and counting here in the opening first half. Character lost the handles on it. Seahawks come away with it. And timeout called by Kevin Craig and the South Walton Seahawks. Kevin Craig, we mentioned the job that he did in his first year, turning a program that was 0-25 the year before he took over to 12-14 the next season. District champions the last 2 years, and taking South Walton to their first ever state semifinal. But he did coach at Fort Walton Beach for a long, long time. Got him to the Final Four 6 times rather. A couple of state championships, including 34-1 in 1994.
Wow.
They also won a state championship in 1999 when they went 32-4.
Mike, I've been coaching for a lot of years, and when you see something like that, when a team's 0-24 and then a coach of his caliber comes in and wins 12 games, if I had to guess, that coach that was there the year before really didn't have his heart set in it, and probably just was putting in the time and not really working with the girls. And you get a guy with the caliber of him coming in, and it shows immediately.
Followell with a block. It will remain with the Seahawks, but good defensive play against Kennedy. 41 seconds left here in the first half. 12-point lead for South Walton. Our second Class 1A state semifinal. Chipley won the earlier meeting today. 55-50 over top-ranked Hilliard. All will remain with the Seahawks again.
Yeah, Village's problem is he scored 12 points in a half. It's tough to win the state title.
Hard to win any games, really.
Yes.
You only scored 12 points for 16 minutes. And South Walton, if they choose, can play for the final shot of the first half.
Nice
Heffron goes in, misses the layup. Follow shot comes out, but she sticks with it, and Trejo on the second attempt puts it home. All 5 of her points have come in the second quarter, and it's the largest lead of the game for South Walton, a 14-point lead. Marion's pass deflected. She goes after and tries to save it, but South Walton was out of bounds on the baseline. So 5 seconds left, 5.4 seconds left. Time for one final look at it for the Buffalo. Almost stolen away. Here's Marion along the baseline. Yes, they needed that. Just before the buzzer, Asia Marion finishes with 5 first-half points. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but being down 12 is better than being down 14.
But not by much.
But not by much. But if you're Rick Corley, you'll head to the locker room and you'll say, guys, Asia played with foul trouble. We didn't have her on the floor. She'll be able to play for most of the second half, as long as she stays out of foul trouble. Your thoughts before we take a break here?
Well, and it's what I've always said. When you get the double-digit lead, you break it down smaller to your team, okay? If you're a three-point shooting team, you're down 12, that's 4 possessions. You stop them 4 times, you hit 4 threes, the game's tied. You can do that in a 2-minute period. So rather than talking about the 12 and 14, whatever it is, you get it down to a 4 or 5 or a 6 possession game, and that really, really gets the kids thinking that they can actually come back.
So Asia Marion leading the Buffalo with 5 points at the break. Eve Heffron leading South Walton with 7 points. Our halftime score, South Walton 26, the Villages 14. Stay with us. We'll be back in just under 10 minutes with a recap of the first half and the start of the second half. You're watching the Class 1A state semifinals live right here on the FHSAA Network.
And now, to perform halftime, the Village Buffalo Cheerleader. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Village's high school Golden Girls.
All right, it'll be Seahawks basketball to begin the second half. A 12-point lead for South Walton. They've led by as many as 15 in the game. Villages with 18 turnovers. They have got to do a better job, Dennis, of crashing the boards, though, especially on the offensive end, and keeping South Walton off the board, off the offensive glass as well.
Yeah, the biggest thing they've got to do is they have to figure out a way to get the ball into Marion. They've got to get her off offensively here.
Asia Marion with 5 points in the first half to lead the Villages in scoring. Ball stolen away by Morgan Kennedy. Kennedy had 4 points in the opening half. Kennedy able to find Menard wide open and rebounded by Michaela Dunn. South Walton shot 39.1%, 9 of 23 from the floor in the opening half, 0 for 1 beyond the arc, 8 of 16 from the free throw line. The Villages shot 40%, 6 of 15. They did not attempt a shot beyond the arc as Marion hits the fall-away shot in the lane for her 7th point. She was the only player to score for the Villages in the second quarter.
Yeah, she has to touch the ball every time down the floor from now on for them to get back into this game.
Buffalo need to try to get to the foul line, too.
And now she's got 4 fouls.
2 of 3. That's a huge foul for Marion, as you mentioned, her 4th. And we've only played a minute of this third quarter. I mean, I understand the aggressiveness, but when she's your go-to player offensively, you got to back away from the action a little bit, don't you, Dennis?
Well, and again, it's that 10-point barrier. You try to get it all back at once, and she just hit a shot. She got excited about it and then thought she could make a steal there, not thinking that she already had 3 fouls.
A chance, though, to cut it to single digits for the basket here. Dunn. Bounce pass to the elbow. Marion. After a miss, the follow shot, good. Ricky Batterby with her 4th point of the game. That's only their 3rd offensive rebound today. It's a huge one because they get the stick back and they cut it to single digits. And stolen away by Character. All alone, Alexia lays it in. A 4-0 run by the Buffalo and timeout call by the Seahawks. The Villages are back in this game, Dennis.
Yeah, what they needed was they had to get somebody else to produce other than Marion. And perfect timing on those last 2 baskets. After she picked up her 4th foul, they could have just gotten down in the dumps, but they hustled, made a couple of steals, and now we've got a ball game.
Of course, now the concern is Asia Marion has 4 fouls. They cannot afford to lose her in this game.
No, and they can't afford to take her out right now either. She's just going to have to play very, very smart, very tentative, and let the other kids make the traps and try to make steals. But then again, they've got people with 2 and 3 fouls throughout the lineup because of the first half. It's kind of pick your poison.
Don't forget, coming up today at 2:30, it's a 2A state semifinal between FAMU of Tallahassee, defending state champions. They're ranked number 1 in the state against number 2 Grandview Prep. Both teams were in the finals, or in the Final Four last year. And that's at 2:30, followed by the 4 o'clock game between Academy of the Lakes and Sheridan Hills Christian. All knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Villages. Substitution for the Buffalo. Abby Followell will check in. And checking out will be Michaela Dunn. Marion is still on the floor. There you see her to the left of your screen. Number 5 is playing with 4 fouls. Tough shot for Perot. Here comes Marion.
Be careful.
She does lean away from the basket, but she would have been better served to reset there.
Yeah, she just should have stopped and taken about an 8-footer off the backboard.
Baseline shot, good by Mackenzie Perot. 6 points for the 5'10 sophomore, Mackenzie Perot. Mackenzie averages 7.5 a game. She's one of 5 players to average 7.5 or more. As the ball goes out of bounds, back to South Walton.
And that's their 20th turnover, which is the difference in the game. That and Marion with her foul trouble.
Well, also the fact that they were outscored 16-3 in the second quarter. As I mentioned, they were down by as many as 15 points. And again, South Walton can go up double digits. Ball slipped out of the hands of Perot. That's a break. Here's Marion. Marion had it stripped. Loose ball, though, saved up top by Followell. She hands it off to Shelby Vance, who will reset the offense. Chance again to make it a 6-point game.
Wow.
No call there, even though Marion got knocked to the floor. Well, that appeared obvious to everyone here at the Lakeland Civic Center.
As close as they called it in the first half, I mean, there was no question that was a foul.
Ball goes out of bounds, but last touch by the Seahawks. 4 minutes, 26 seconds remaining in the third quarter, 28-20. South Walton with an 8-point lead here in the Class 1A state semifinals from the FHSAA Girls Basketball Finals. Nice spin move. Marion can't get it to go down. Well, another player hits the floor hard.
I think
and
she's
once
hurt.
again, no whistle. And a lay-in for Morgan Kennedy. But right now the concern is for Eve Heffron. So Heffron, I think that's Heffron. Yes. No, actually that's 12. My apologies. That's Taylor Menard. So Menard hit the deck pretty hard and is slow to get up. So back-to-back field goals for South Walton as they increase the lead to 10.
She just got the wind knocked out of her. Thank goodness it's not any leg or knee injury.
Again, both these teams making their first ever Final Four appearance. You saw Kevin Craig there.
And watching what the Villages are doing on offense, they've got Marion on the ball side, and she's just shifting right with the zone with a person right behind her. They need to set her up behind the zone on the opposite side and then pick the ball up and have her break to the middle. And that would be an easier way of getting her the ball.
Once again, a chance to get it back to single digits. Marion, triple team, puts the shot up. No good, but she got fouled and she'll shoot 2 shots. Asia 1 for 2 from the foul line today. Asia shoots 65% from the free throw line. That last foul on Mackenzie Perot, her first. And Marion knocks down the free throw. 8 points for Marion, who averages 20.4 a game.
And the problem with the Villages scoring is their second leading scorer is Batterby, who only averages 6 a game. And there's a bunch of people with 2 points a game, which tells me that the other players on the team really don't look to shoot the ball.
Timeout on the floor for a media timeout. You know, in Saturday's win that got the Villages here, they did have a couple of other players step up. Alexia Character hit a pair of 3-point shots. Ricky Batterby stepped up to provide some additional scoring options. But you're right, other than Marion, this is an offensively challenged team.
Yes. And there aren't a lot of I'm looking here, Marion averages 2.2 assists per game, and nobody else has really got 1 or 2. So that tells you that you really don't have an assigned point guard on the team that can handle the ball and pass the ball well enough to get it to Marion on a consistent basis. My guess is she gets a lot off of the offensive rebounding and just in transition.
Well, I will say this about the Villages. Remember earlier we mentioned that South Walton was 0-25 the year before Kevin Craig got there. Rick Corley's team went 8-16 last year. So they've turned it around, won 10 more games this year. They're 18-4, and as I mentioned, in their first state semifinal. So they're doing something right.
Yes, they are.
And they're down by 8 right now with under 4 minutes to play in the third quarter and almost a turnover. In fact, a jump ball called. It will be a turnover. Possession arrow points to the Villages.
And South Walton's got to be careful here because they're letting the Villages hang around. 8-point game here, a bucket here. Another turnover.
Well, and that's been their bugaboo today. Way too many turnovers, over 20 turnovers today. It's tough to win basketball games when you limit your possessions.
And a turnover like that, and a lot of those, they're unforced turnovers where it's just a very poor pass, poor judgment.
Big basket there in the lane. And that's the 4th point of the game for Casey Perot. It extends it back to double digits and another turnover.
Wow. Oh, jeez.
Kennedy got bailed out a little bit there by Character. 3rd foul on Alexia Character.
And I believe she fouled her 3 times before he blew the whistle.
Still 1 more quarter to go here in this Class 1A state semifinal. Marion with the miss, or with a rebound. Outlet ahead to Character. And at least she saves it from going out of bounds. The Villages trying to get this back to single digits again. They've trailed by as many as 15 today. Made a little bit of a run to start the 3rd quarter to fall by 6, fall behind by 6, and Marion is starting to heat up. 6 of her 11 are in this 3rd quarter.
Very nice step back shot by her there.
So the first player to reach double figures for either team. And we're back to single digits. Good look to the baseline. Casey Perot makes home 2 more. 6 points for Perot, off the bench. We mentioned that she leads the team in scoring at 9.9 points per game coming off the bench. Traveling is called.
They've got to be upwards of 25 turnovers right now.
Well, I think if they don't come back and win this game, you got to point to the turnovers, and that's the reason why. That and the fact that Marion picked up so many fouls so quickly. She's got 4 fouls, and we still have a whole quarter to go. Combination of the two, probably. And now Perot's starting to take over inside. She's using that height at 6 foot.
And you can see the difference. South Walton makes very, very good entry passes into the post, whereas the Villages are just throwing the ball just like that. Just like that.
Loose ball picked up by Heffron. Heffron misses the layup. Perot with a follow. And Menard got stripped, and she'll shoot 2 shots.
That's her 4th.
So Character with 4, Marion with 4 for the Buffalo.
And we're back to a 12-point lead again.
And it could be 14 if Menard hits both free throws. She is 0 for 2 today, but she picks up her 3rd point. One of 7 players to score today for South Walton. Shipley awaits the winner. Shipley defeated Hilliard, top-ranked Hilliard, 55-50 in the other 1A semifinal. The 1A championship is tomorrow at 4:35. We'll have it for you here on the FHSA Network. Second free throw good by Menard. So after missing her first 2, she makes 2, and it's a 14-point lead. Marion to Tolucci, who just checked in. And another turnover. They may be over 40 turnovers by the time this game is over.
Nice pass.
That was a good look. Trejo at 5'11". All they had to do was put it over the top so she could reach in the air and grab it out of the air, and she scores her 7th point. Marion with a nice spin move. Got fouled, and she'll shoot 2. But her margin of error is very small playing with those 4 fouls. That's the first foul on Taylor Menard. Well, that breaks a string of 3 in a row for Marion. 11 points for the 5'7" senior, who averages 20.4 a game. Largest deficit, or it was the largest deficit at 16, now a 15-point game. Let's see if South Walton plays for the final shot of the quarter. They've been attacking the glass. They may not. After a miss, the follow shot no good by Mackenzie Perot. Follow in the lane by Logan no good. Marion comes away with it. And Marion got fouled by Heffron. That'll be the second foul on Eve Heffron. Each team down with 3 team fouls. And I would imagine the Villages will play for the final shot with 30 seconds left.
And if we do have a matchup tomorrow between Chipley and South Walton, there'll be 2 teams that are very, very well-balanced scoring teams, very team-orientated. Should be a good game to watch.
Still, though, a whole quarter to play in this one. After the miss, Buffalo keep it alive. I think that's their first 3 attempt of the game. Colucci with a miss. Well, that is a horrible way to pick up your 5th foul.
And to end your high school career.
Yes. I applaud the hustle, but when you got 4 fouls, you just cannot do that. So the Buffalo's leading scorer, Asia Marion, is going to foul out with 8 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. And she will foul out today with 12 points. 8 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter. And the Seahawks can pour a little salt in the wound with a basket here, can't they?
Yeah, this should be interesting to see how her teammates respond now. Sometimes it could be a good thing.
Kennedy had it knocked away. Loose ball stolen by the Buffaloes. They won't get a shot off, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter here at the Lakeland Center. At the end of 3, the South Walton Seahawks are 8 minutes away from playing in their first ever girls basketball state championship game. Our score at the end of 3, South Walton 40, the Villages 25, here on the FHSAA Network. Mike Rideout along with Dennis Mental back for the 4th quarter of this Class 1A state semifinal. South Walton leading by 15. They've got the basketball to begin the final quarter. And the leading scorer for the Buffalo has fouled out. Asia Marion has fouled out with 12 points today. They'll have to play the entire 4th quarter without her. And as you mentioned, we'll see if it's an opportunity for someone else to step up. Largest lead has been 16 in the quarter. They got the 5-second count to force the turnover. Well, it has been balanced scoring, to say the least, for South Walton. Eve Heffron leading the way with 7 points. 6 points for Morgan Kennedy. 6 points for Mackenzie Perot. 7 points for Katie Trejo. And off the bench, Casey Perot with 8 points. They could have multiple girls in double figures today. The Seahawks get the rebound. Menard cut off, brings it up top to Heffron. Heffron denied as it was deflected by Mans, but saved up top. Here in the second half, South Walton shooting 35.3% from the floor. The Villages have actually shot the ball pretty well. 40% in the first half, 44.4% in the second half. But the glaring number that jumps out, 25 turnovers.
Yeah, they got 6:55 left. You said they might hit 40, and having Marion out of the lineup, that could happen.
Third foul whistled against Abby Followell. And Morgan Kennedy shooting for the Seahawks. Kennedy now with 7. She's a 5'4" senior.
The other glaring thing, and this is what normally comes about when you have turnovers, Mike, is South Walton has attempted 40 shots through 3 quarters. Villages have only shot 24 times.
Wow.
That's because they're coming down and throwing the ball away before they can even get a shot off.
Ball knocked out of bounds. Last touched by South Walton. Buffalo basketball.
Not very often you shoot 42% for the game right now and be down by 16 points. And that's what the Villages are.
Well, they throw it away this time, but again, trying to work it inside between Perot, number 25 at 6 foot, Trejo, number 23 at 5'11", 15 Perot, Mackenzie Perot, younger sister at 5'10". They definitely have the height advantage. 3 attempt, no good by Character. In fact, neither team has hit a shot beyond the arc. South Walton really hasn't had to. They've been able to work the ball inside effectively. After a turnover, let's see if the Buffalo can close the gap as we approach the 6-minute mark here in this 4th and final quarter. Mans to Character for 3. Well, I mentioned that Character was able to hit a couple of threes in that region final that got the Buffalo to their first ever Final Four. And we're going to have a jump ball. Well, you got to be careful. Tempers are flaring, and Abby Followell, she's wearing her emotions on her sleeve, and she has just been teed up. Technical foul assessed on Followell. That's going to be her 4th, and you could kind of sense when she went after the ball on the floor, looked like she kind of gave an extra elbow in there, and then when she got up, she pushed a South Walton player. Official was right there, saw what happened, and teed her up.
Yeah, one of my team rules that I have every year, and I tell them at the beginning of the year, no matter who you are, if you get a technical, you're sitting next to me on the bench. I pull them out immediately and discuss with them that is just not acceptable.
Free throw no good by Kennedy. 7 points today for Morgan Kennedy. And she extends the lead to 17, plus the Seahawks will have the basketball. And Followell has taken a seat on the bench. A 17-point lead for South Walton. The Seahawks looking for their 24th win of the season. It would put them in the state championship game against Chipley. So you're going to have 2 teams from essentially the same area in the state championship.
Bet there'll be a nice crowd there. Looking right here,
called on Tolucci.
the Villages of the 5 people that they have on the floor right now, none of them are averaging more than 1 point a game. So that's going to be very difficult for them to do anything offensively to try to get back in this game.
Eve Heffron will shoot a 1-1. 7 points today for the 5'6" senior, who is 1 for 3 from the foul line. And now she's at 50%. Make her 2 for 4. She becomes the 3rd Seahawk with 8 points today. So it's possible they could have as many as 3-4 players in double figures.
And we talked about that at the beginning of the game, of how rounded their scoring was.
After a miss, rebounded by Shelby Manns. 5 players coming in averaged 7.5 points or more. None of those, though, averaged double figures. And a push along the baseline. This will be the second foul. Actually, excuse me, the 3rd foul on Eve Heffron. A non-shooting foul. Manns will trigger it in. And try to close the gap. They trail by 18. And, maybe you do have to start looking at taking shots beyond the arc.
And the problem is I don't think they can get close enough.
Yeah, the way those
defense.
2 guards have been extending up top, you're right. And double dribble is called. Yet another turnover for the Villages. Well, I mentioned earlier that South Walton forced 26 turnovers against defending state champion Ponce de Leon. They held Ponce de Leon to 34% shooting. South Walton won that game by double digits, 54-44. Good look, just can't finish. Big offensive rebound, and Casey Perot will go to the line to shoot 2 shots.
If that's on character, I believe she's out of the game.
It is her 5th, you're right. She will foul out with 5 points, and it comes with 4:48 to play.
You talk about them forcing 26 turnovers to Ponce de Leon. I believe you and I did that game last year for Ponce de Leon when they won it, and they were a very, very disciplined basketball team. So for them to turn the ball over that many times, South Walton must have really, really put pressure on them.
A chance to take a 20-point lead, and also a chance for Casey Perot to become the first Seahawk in double figures today. They announced that it was the 5th foul on Alexia Character. She fouls out with 5 points. And here's Abby Followell, who enters with 4 fouls. Second free throw no good. Rebounded by Michaela Dunn. So it will be Chipley and South Walton in the Class 1A state championship game. That's coming up tomorrow at 4:35. We'll have live coverage for you here on the FHSAA network. Foul against the Seahawks. This will be on Casey Perot. That's her 2nd. But a great season nonetheless for the Buffalo, whose season will end at 18-5. Again, the theme has been turnovers.
Well, you can see just about every girl that's on the floor for the Villages now catches the ball and turns to throw the ball and doesn't even look at the basket because none of them are used to scoring.
Kennedy will go back to the line where she is 2 for 4 here in the quarter. It will be the 2nd foul on Shelby Manns. Kennedy also with a chance to reach double digits if she can make both free throws. Keep jinxing them, don't I?
We got to stop doing that.
This will be the 10th free throw of the quarter, though, for the Seahawks. And she gets 1 of 2. So Kennedy with 9. Perot with 9. Also Heffron with 8. Trejo with 7 for South Walton. As they have a 20-point lead. We're almost halfway done with this fourth quarter. Offensive board for Mans. Keeping it alive. Now up top to Batterby. And they throw it away. We'll check the turnovers here coming up at the end of the quarter. Actually, we'll check and see if the live stats are updated here. Deep 3, or is that a 2?
I think that was a 3.
And Katie Logan, they gave her a 2. That was a deep 2, wasn't it? The other team has hit a 3 today. Another turnover. (47-25), a 22-point lead for South Walton here in the final quarter. Don't forget, coming up this afternoon in our second session, it will be the 2A state semifinals. Kennedy misses with the bank, but another foul called against the Villages. FAMU and Grandview Prep coming up at 2:30 and 1 2A semifinal. Academy at the Lakes and Sheridan Hills Christian next at 4 p.m. Actually, the foul is going to go on the Seahawks. It will be on Casey Perot, her third. The Buffalo wrapping up a very successful season in which they won more games than any other girls basketball team in their brief 9-year history. Won their first district championship. Certainly nothing to hang their heads about. There's so many teams that would love to be here, Dennis. It's tough just to get to Lakeland.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's always, unless you win a state championship, the last game you play is a loss. And that's what a coach needs to get across to his team, that they can't hang their heads. They should be proud that they've gotten here, and look at what they've accomplished for the whole year. And on the other side, Coach Craig of South Walton, you talked about how he had the big turnaround on that team. You're watching here, he's up by 22 with 2.5 minutes left, and I was watching him on the sidelines before this last break, and he's still coaching. He's still coaching his kids. He's making them work hard, making them concentrate. He's still up. He could just be sitting down waiting and worrying about tomorrow, but he's not. And that's what good coaches do. They coach every player that's on the team, no matter what.
A 22-point lead for South Walton. Just a 12-point game at the break. In fact, the Villages make a little bit of a run to start the third quarter and closed within 6. But Asia Marion fouled out in the third quarter with 12 points. Their leading scorer. She averages 20.4 a game. Traveling is called. And, the Buffalo, we've talked about their offensive deficiencies. They've yet to score in this fourth quarter.
Wow.
They had 11 points in the first quarter, 11 in the third, only 3 in the second, and none here in the fourth. South Walton with 10 in the first, 16 in the second, 14 in the third, and 7 so far here in the fourth. Missed by Andrews,
nice.
But put back in. Shelby Mans with her first points since the first quarter, and the first basket of the fourth quarter for the Villages comes 6+ minutes later.
It looks like Coach Corley called that timeout to maybe get a couple kids in so they can say they experienced playing in the Final Four. I mean, I know that's what I would do at this point. Just so they have the experience.
47-27, a 20-point lead for South Walton. So it'll be the Seahawks and the Tigers. Chipley's the Tigers, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yep, just heard the announcement. Chipley and South Walton tomorrow afternoon at 4:35 for the 1A state championship. It's okay, I had my cheat sheet just in case if I had to go to it.
Then the game is
baseline drive, rims out. Follow shot by Heffron, no good. She got fouled, and let's see who the foul's going to be on. Well, they assessed another technical foul, and this one's going to go on Michaela Dunn. You know, Dunn put her hands up in the air as if to say, hey, I'm stepping away from the action. You know what, Michaela, I might side with you on this one, unless something was said. And Michaela, we were just trying to read her lips there, said that she got pushed. Second time that the Buffalo have been assessed a technical foul. The foul was on Shelby Manns, her third. Eve Heffron now can reach double figures if she makes this free throw. So she becomes the first player for South Walton to score double figures, and now she'll also shoot the technical. She's 4 of 5 from the foul line in this fourth quarter alone. So 12 points for Heffron.
And before all that happened, I was trying to make the comment that number 4, Lexi Hall, a 5'1" freshman, came in the game for the Villages.
I heard you mention it, and I was looking to see, okay, who just came in. I wasn't sure which team you were talking about, so I didn't want to try to help you and say the wrong team and the wrong person. And that's going to be a foul on Followell, and that's her fifth. So Abby Followell will foul out with 1:13 to play. She did not score today. She becomes the third player to foul out for the Buffalo.
That's her fifth. Let's give her a hand, folks. She played a good game today. Emily Followell.
Well, we're still waiting to see who that fifth player will be, and it's going to be Monica Couture. She's a 5'9" sophomore.
A little bit of confusion here. Oh, she's got to come
She's got to come in.
Yeah.
You can't play with 4 players. Well, you could, I guess, but...
Yeah, they got that silly rule that they can't bring him in until after the first shot of a second shot foul, and I've never understood that. If they're going to come in, let them come in.
Unless she's coming in for the shooter.
Exactly. Yeah, bring her in. Oh, she's in for the shooter.
So Taylor Menard now with 5. She missed her first 2 free throws in the first quarter, but she's made 3 in a row since. Got them both. So she'll check out. Katie Logan, a 5'3" junior, will check in. Six players have scored 6 or more today for South Walton.
Amazing.
62 seconds left in the game.
1 minute to play the game. 1 minute.
After a miss, rebounded by Logan. Logan feeds it ahead to Perot, who misses the shot, and rebounded by Amanda Andrews, a 5'11 freshman. Dunn had a good look at the basket, just couldn't get it to go down. Mans. And after the turnover, South Walton can dribble it out now with under 25 seconds to play. But Kevin Craig wants to talk things over first. He calls a timeout. That will allow a couple of substitutions for South Walton as Leah Burton, a 5'7 freshman, will check in, along with Francette Warren, a 5'5 sophomore. There you see the score, 53-27 South Walton. It was a 12-point game at the half, 26-14. But we knew that once Asia Marion fouled out, there was likely no hope for this Village's basketball team today.
No, that's what happens when you rely on one person to do the majority of your scoring.
Yeah. South Walton can dribble it out. But no, instead, stolen away by Dunn. She looks for her first points today. And she got it. Michaela Dunn hits the shot and draws the foul.
Good for her.
She's a senior, so yes, happy for her. Foul on Francette Warren. That's her first. And Michaela Dunn getting her first points today. And it comes with just under 10 seconds to play. A 3-point play for Dunn.
Tripled her season average. She was averaging 1 per game.
And that's going to be a foul on Couture. She fouled the shooter beyond the arc. So Savannah Hires, a sophomore, will shoot 3 free throws.
Mike, you think some of these subs, when a game like this, come in and say, hey, you know what? You foul me and I'll foul you. And maybe I can get in the scorebook.
Let's see what Hires does for the season. She averages 1.6 a game. So if she makes this next free throw, she'll be over her average. Well, she hits 1 of 3. So at least she's in the scorebook.
Absolutely.
And that'll do it. Final score, South Walton 54. The Villages 30. South Walton improves to 24-6 on the year. The Villages season comes to an end at 18-5, but we've talked about it a number of times. The Villages making their first ever state semifinal appearance. They won their first ever district title in girls basketball this year. They won more games than they've ever won before in a season. After 8 wins last year, they win 18 this year. They finish 18-5, but also kudos to the Seahawks under Kevin Craig. South Walton, now 24-6, will play for their first ever state title in girls basketball, and it'll be against the Chipley Tigers tomorrow afternoon at 4:35. Chipley and South Walton, Dennis, for the 1A title.
And that should be a really, really good game. If anybody who's a purist of basketball and likes to see it what it's supposed to be, a team sport, both of these teams play very, very good team basketball. They share the ball. They're very unselfish. Should be a fun game to watch.
And they both have knocked off number ones, per se, because Chipley defeated top-ranked Hilliard today 55-50. South Walton beat defending state champion Ponce de Leon in the region finals to get to this point. Once again, the final score, South Walton 54, the Villages 30. You see the final there. It will be South Walton and Chipley tomorrow afternoon at 4:35. We'll have the game live for you right here on the FHSAA Network. Don't forget, coming up next at 2:30 this afternoon, a little over an hour, it will be FAMU of Tallahassee and Grandview Prep of Boca Raton in a Class 2A state semifinal. Now speaking for Dennis Mental, our producer Nick Minori, I'm Mike Rideout saying so long for now from the Lakeland Center here at the FHSAA Girls Basketball Finals.